What's going on, YouTube family? It's your boy again, Tyrone. Relax and chill cigars. Hey, we got another video. So let's get. All right, YouTube. So we're gonna talk about my last video. In my last video, we were smoking a cigar and sipping on some Basil Hayden toast, bourbon whiskey. We're gonna get into talking about the lighters, the different cutters, and also the cigar.
All right, so in my last video and also a couple of other videos, I've mentioned lighters. So I did say rated for your cigar. Rated shouldn't be the word that I use, um, but when you're smoking a cigar, you want to use a lighter that fits that cigar. So if your cigar has a small ring gauge, which we'll get into that a little bit later on in some of the other videos, but if it has a smaller ring gauge, you want to use a one torch lighter. If it has a bigger ring gauge or the biggest ring gauge, you want to use a 3 or 4 torch lighter. So the difference in between those lighters are one torch is just that you got one flame. You have a 2 torch lighter, which has 2 flames. You have the 3 torch lighter that has 3 flames. And then you have the 4 torch lighter, which has 4 flames. Now, there are some lighters that have the 3 torch or the 4 torch that come to the middle to make one torch. So it'll be a 3 torch lighter, but the 3 torches will come up to one flame, which will make the flame a little thinner. And you can use it on any ring gauge cigar. So when you're looking for lighters, make sure your lighter fits the cigar that you like to smoke. For my new cigar smokers, my cigar smokers is trying out cigars for the first time, you may want to ask the person that you're buying the cigar from at that cigar store what torch they recommend that you use. And just starting out, I would go to somewhere like a 7-Eleven or something like that that sells the plastic torches for cheap. Get one of those and just use that until you start getting a little deeper in there, and then you want to get uh, a good cigar lighter, a good torch lighter that fits the cigars that you like to smoke on the ring gauge size. So we'll talk more about the ring gauge size a little bit later in another video, but we're going to start talking about the different types of cuts next. Okay, so I've talked about and shown you uh, the different types of lighters. I've talked about the Baccarat, the cigar that I smoked in my last video, smoking a cigar. So now we want to talk about the cutters and how they work as far as cutting a cigar. All right, so we talked about our Basil Hayden toast, our bourbon whiskey. We've talked about the cigar that I smoked, the Baccarat. We talked about the 1, 2, 3, 4 flame torches. Now let's talk about the cutters. So in my last video, smoking a cigar, I showed you a punch. Punch is one of the types of ways that you can smoke a cigar. And basically, as you've seen in the video, punches a hole in a cigar. Um, when you're using a punch, you're pulling less tobacco smoke out of the cigar. So it's giving you added time on smoking your cigar. So it's going to burn a little bit slower as you're smoking, and you're going to get more enjoyment out of it because you're going to be smoking longer than someone else that has got a different cut on their cigar. So, as I showed you in my last video, this portion right here is where we put the punch. So, this portion right here is called the cap. This is the end that you light. So, when you get a flat cut cigar, or when you do a flat cut on your cigar, your flat cut, when you do it, is going to look just like this. But try not to get the two ends mixed up. So when you do the flat cut, you're going to be cutting off the cap and you're going to be lighting on this end. And the best way to tell the difference between the two ends is your band. And that's why I say don't take your band off until that cigar burns almost close to the band. So you'll always know which end that you're going to be lighting because your band is your indicator on where you're going to be doing your pulls from. Now, when you do your flat cut, you can't really see it on this cigar, but some cigars, they're on the cap. you have a little line that goes around this little area right here. You want to take that cut and cut it right below that line. By cutting it right below that line, you're going to save the outer portion of the cigar, because if you cut it above the line, your cigar is going to start unraveling. And the more the cigar unravels, the less likely you're going to want to smoke it. So if you cut it just below, slightly below that line on the cap, you should have a very good smoking cigar. Now, there's another cutter. It's called the V cut. And the V cut basically puts a little cut right across the cap. Now, with the V cut, it's not typically one of the ones that I use, because I'm not really one of those people that likes the V cut, because, like I said, that V cut makes a line across the cap. And for me, as long as the V is facing this way, I'm fine. But as I smoke my cigar, to try to get a nice even burn on the cigar, and to keep that nice even burn on the cigar, I rotate it slightly every time I pick it up to pull. So eventually my V goes this way. And when it gets that way, a little bit of air comes in when I'm trying to do my pull, and I don't like it. So I feel like I'm getting less of the cigar smoke and more air than anything else. So it's not something that I use. Now, there's people that I know that like the flat cut, they like the V cut, but I'm a punch guy. So I've done all three. Um, the flat cut, I don't like it because as you're smoking your cigar, you'll tend to get tobacco from the flat cut cigar into your mouth, and then you're wanting to spit it out as you're smoking. And for me, that's not an enjoyable smoke, because I don't want to sit up here and be spitting out tobacco every 5 to 10 minutes while I'm trying to enjoy my cigar. And like I said, with the V cut, I feel like I'm pulling in air sometimes when I'm smoking it. So that's not something that I'm going to use. But the difference between the three, so the flat cut, you're going to get all the flavor um, and all the cigar smoke from the flat cut. The V cut, you're going to get a little bit less than you would if you had a flat cut, but you're still going to get that flavor. And when it comes to the punch, you're going to get less smoke than all the other two, but you're still going to get that flavor, like I said, with your cigar, or from your cigar. So my first time cigar smokers, try all three on different cigars and see how you like it. And then that way you can choose or determine which cutter you're going to want to use. Like I said, for me, I've used all three. I've done the flat cut, I've done the V cut, and of course, like I said, I settled down with the punch because I like to enjoy my cigars with less tobacco in my mouth. With the punch, you get little to none of the tobacco in your mouth as you're doing a pull than you would on a flat cut or a V cut cigar. All right, YouTube family. So the information I just gave you in this video was from the little bit of information that I was given to you in my smoking a cigar video. So we talked a little bit about the Basil Hayden toast. We went into what the cigar was, and you know, the mild flavors and stuff like that for the Baccarat. We talked about, and I showed you the different types of lighters, and we talked about, and I showed you the different types of cutters and the punch. So there's really not too much more to talk about. We talked about just about everything that was mentioned in the smoking cigar video. But I'm going to tell you this: it is up to you, and it is your choice on what you do when you go to smoke your cigar, as far as your cuts and your torch that you're going to use to light your cigar. But again, I'm giving you the information so that you can make the right choices, so that you can have an enjoyable smoke when you go to light up your cigar. So take the information that I'm giving and use it for yourself. Challenge some of those people that are telling you different things about cigars, because some people that are smoking cigars really don't know that much about cigars. And I found that out the hard way because, like I said, I ended up smoking a Davidoff Millennium. Wasn't really the good cigar for a first time cigar smoker, but because I like cigars and I wanted to get into it, um, I went ahead and smoked the whole thing. Wasn't very enjoyable for me, but again, I smoked the whole thing. So, my first time cigar smokers, please, 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 please start from the bottom and work your way up to the top. You will know when you get to that right cigar. And when you get to that right cigar, that cigar is going to be the cigar that you smoke 9 times out of 10. You may vary from time to time on a different cigar, but that one cigar that stands out to you, that's the one that you're going to smoke on a regular basis. For me, as long as it's a light body cigar, that's the one I'm going to smoke. I'm sorry, a mild body cigar, that's the one I'm going to smoke. And again, those cigars are Romeo and Julieta, Ashton Classic. You got the Arto Fuente Natural. You have the Baccarat, which we've already talked about and we've already smoked. Um, you have the Del Rey. Um, you have the Nub Connecticut, and then you also have Oliva has the Series G and the O that are very light body cigars. You have the Camacho Connecticut. So again, as I specified in my light or mild bodied cigar video, you want to try to look for cigars that have Connecticut or natural in the name of the cigar, because you know for sure if you get a Connecticut or a natural cigar, it's going to be a light body cigar. So don't take my word for it. Go out there and explore for yourself. And until next time, oh, and I forgot, like and subscribe. Stop playing.